Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan and today is Thursday, which means team selection video for Game Week 14 coming right up. We need to break into the top 100k finally. Can this be the week to do it? We'll find out very shortly, as well as going through our Game Week 13 scores. But guys, if you do enjoy this one, drop a like, do subscribe. Let's get started. So starting off with my Game Week 13 scores, and honestly, yeah, it was a pretty depressing week for me. Really poor week. Pretty much a nightmare game week, my worst game week of the season so far. Things were going so well until this point. It really did seem that way, but hey, everyone's going to have a bad game week sometimes, I guess, and it seems in general my team has been performing well. This game week, it just did not quite click. Now, obviously, I did captain Son, which did damage my points total a little bit, but it's not something I regret at all. Watching that game, watching how that game played out, seeing the disallowed goals from Son and how unfortunate he was to not get, FPL returns in that game, I don't regret my decision at all, which is different to the previous game week, where I think I did slightly regret my Watkins captaincy and I felt like I did make a mistake. This time, I don't think I made a mistake. I think it's just the outcome was maybe not as good as I hoped it would be. But still, it's a good team, but it was a poor score, and there was a couple of bits of bad luck there, obviously, but overall, we're just going to move past it. It's not like this is a bad team. I'm not going to overreact to this, but there are definitely some changes that I would like to make going into Game Week 14. Before we look at my Game Week 14 team, I'm really pleased to announce that we have started making FPL merch. Now, last week we launched a brand new website, fanprints.uk, to provide you guys with personalised prints, mugs, and much more. These make great Christmas gifts for football fans or a way to brighten up your home. I've already personally copped this FPL captaincy mug, which I think is really cool, and a personalised Arsenal-style print as well. I've added my name, FPL Mate, then the number 8 for mate, and the text at the bottom, your best mate, and I just think this is a great addition to my setup. One other product I want to shout out in particular is this VAR Humbug Christmas jumper that literally only just dropped today. It's already seeing sales and I genuinely cannot wait for my one to arrive as well. I'm super proud of how these designs have come out and I really hope you guys like them too. Fan prints are shipping worldwide so nobody misses out, and FPL Mate viewers can get an exclusive 20% discount on all purchases by using code FPLMate, all one word, at checkout. So check out fanprints.uk by clicking the link in the description or in the pinned comment. It's the best way to support this YouTube channel and you'll get something you genuinely love in return. I really hope you guys can support this project. Now, on to Game Week 14. So I've got one free transfer and 0.6 million in the bank. What are we going to do with it? Well, let's set up my Game Week 14 team first, as I already have it. So Areola starting off in goal. A home game against Crystal Palace that will lack Eze for this game. It's going to be a nice opportunity for a clean sheet for any team, but in general, do we trust West Ham for clean sheets? I don't know if we necessarily do, but hey, can we trust anyone for clean sheets right now, aside from Arsenal? Probably not, to be honest, though. It's not like we can do it much worse, and at least we've got a good fixture. I guess that means we've got a chance. But clean sheets, as we saw last game week, are an absolute myth. So don't have too much expectations of any goalkeeper, any defender outside of Arsenal, sadly. Into defence, we have got Kieran Trippier. A home game against Manchester United, I actually think could be pretty nice. And although Trippier did score pretty low last game week, he was really unlucky. Obviously, he hit the woodwork with a shot. He created a really nice chance. Obviously, the goal he conceded was from a free kick, which you don't usually see from Chelsea. And also, he got a random yellow card as well, which was kind of pointless. But I think moving forward, Trippier is going to do really well and really kind of reward some of his holders, some of his owners. I think he could do well in the upcoming run of fixtures. And I do think this Manchester United game is going to be an immediate opportunity for points because, Manchester United just not quite looking at it right now, are they, despite their win against Everton. Next up, we have got Matty Cash in my team currently. He's got Bournemouth this game, which I know for a lot of people will be a game maybe that you would want to play him in, but at the same time, a lot of people have given up on Cash. It's definitely a player that I'm not sure we want to hold on to long term. It's a really difficult one. The advantage I have is that I do have Nori on my bench, which we'll get to shortly, who can cover him for the Man City and Arsenal game. So do I need to sell Cash right now? I don't know. Is it worth the transfer? I think it's so difficult to find defenders to replace your current defenders with. So it gets to a point where you say, Cash against Bournemouth, pretty much as good as you're going to get outside of Arsenal for defenders right now. So is there really any point in making a swap? Like, you'd just be moving a bad defender for another bad defender because all defenders are bad. I hope you get what I'm saying there, guys. Well, I'm not sure. Is it worth making a move there? I guess, you know, that's going to depend on who you are and how you feel. But my final defender is finally an Arsenal defender because it is Gabriel, a defender I actually do like in my team. I know a lot of people are worried about him getting rotated. I've said this time and time again. I'm not really too worried personally. We've got a home game against Wolves next, so hopefully that is going to provide a nice clean sheet. We know Wolves do struggle to score goals often, but Gabriel, with his defensive abilities in that Arsenal defence, best defence in the league, surely he is going to be the one saving grace in all of our back lines, our Gabriels, our Salibas. These are the players who we actually have hope for FPL points. But moving on to an area of the field that doesn't really get points, to a area that maybe get some points. It's midfield, and Salah is our first midfielder. Home game against Fulham. We know how good Salah is at home, and he has looked pretty good recently, to be fair to Salah, it has to be said. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a good opportunity for points. Fulham obviously have struggled a little bit defensively recently, are conceding goals, particularly conceding a couple of penalties last game week, and we know who takes penalties for Liverpool. That is Salah, of course. So, yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of reason to feel optimistic about having Salah moving into Game Week 14. Should have a good score. Next up, Heung-min Son, a player a lot of people are actually thinking about selling. There is no way I will be doing that personally. Guys, if you haven't watched the Spurs versus Aston Villa game or highlights, I really recommend you go and watch that before even considering selling Son. He has been super unlucky not to get FPL returns in the last 3 game weeks, and I definitely think he's shown enough signs that he's still an incredible FPL asset. So he's going nowhere in my team. I don't even think the Son to Saka move is even remotely viable. It's not something I'm even thinking about doing. That would be you know, a really bad move for me personally, as someone who doesn't really need to free up any money or anything like that. Son is the better FPL pick in my opinion, and I will stick with that one. The fixtures in general over the next 7 game weeks are pretty good as well. The Man City game is the tough one, of course, but it's also a fixture where we have seen Son impress in the past. It is a fixture that Son quite likes, and after that, the other difficult fixture is Newcastle, and we know Newcastle are playing a lot of games. They've got a crucial game against AC Milan in the Champions League as well. They're going to have to go full strength for that one. They've got midweek games. You know, it's going to be a disaster for a really thin Newcastle squad, and I think Spurs could take advantage, maybe in the same way as Bournemouth were able to take advantage a couple of weeks ago against a tired and depleted Newcastle team. I think we could see that again in a couple of weeks' time when the energy post-international break has started to drain a little bit. So Son, I am not concerned about this player at all. The blanks will panic a lot of people. I hope they do, because that means a lot of people will sell Son. I get to keep Son, and I pick up the points where other people have lost the points. So Son, definitely a player I'm still super confident in. Next up, Jarrod Bowen, a really interesting one. Now, the latest news is that although Bowen is not going to be available for the Thursday night Europa League game, after that, there is a lot of hope and a lot of optimism that he will be available to play at home against Crystal Palace, and I think that's a really good fixture for him. If he is playing in that game, and it looks really likely at this moment that he will be playing in this game, then you know he's starting, you know he's going to do well. Crystal Palace have been looking poorer and poorer defensively recently, and we know West Ham are good in attack. We know Bowen has always got that knack of getting those FPL points as well, and we know that he's such a crucial player to West Ham that he'll play pretty much no matter what. So definitely Bowen is a player to be excited about once again, and not really a player I want to sell either. I think if we look back a couple of weeks ago, Bowen was pretty much essential. He's a player everyone wanted, everyone loved. Now he's available again, or hopefully available again. I don't see that there's going to be any difference there, because the fixtures continue to be really nice for West Ham. Next up, we've got Diaby, subbed at half-time last game, and there has been some decent form from Leon Bailey at Aston Villa that may actually challenge Diaby's minutes even more than he has done already. So it's a difficult one, but again, similar situation to Cash. Is it really worth selling Diaby ahead of Bournemouth? After this Bournemouth game, arguably is the time to sell Diaby, but at the same time, can we go 1 week early, sell him and get someone slightly better? I think that's definitely possible as well, but you wouldn't be too surprised to see the likes of Cash and Diaby actually return and get FPL points against a Bournemouth side. It's something that's happened, you know, so I guess we'll see what happens, but players from Aston Villa are going to be on the chopping block naturally, because in the next 4 fixtures, if you look at this a slightly bigger period of time than just the next game week, they do have rough fixtures. So if you need to get someone in now, maybe those Aston Villa players are the ones to be sacrificed, and Diaby is no different. And finally, in midfield, we have got Cole Palmer. Everyone says he's a penalty merchant, but he really is so much more than that. He looks brilliant. I am really impressed. I think he's just a fantastic player Chelsea have picked up there. He's an incredible bargain in FPL. The penalties are just a bonus. He's going to score points from open play as well, particularly now his fixtures look so much better. This is the start, really, of Chelsea's really nice fixture run. It gets better and better from here on out. But I think this Brighton at home game is definitely going to provide an opportunity for some FPL points for Chelsea and for Palmer. You know, he's the main man right there, right now. Up front, we've got Erling Haaland, of course, like, you know, the best player in the Premier League, the best player in FPL. I'm sure we all know that. Spurs at home, what an opportunity. Spurs continuing to play their super attacking, super aggressive football. You know, we saw how many chances Aston Villa got against Spurs, and it's not surprising when Spurs lined up with no defensive midfielders, no centre-backs. I mean, what were they thinking? But, hey, that's the way they want to play their football. So, we're probably going to see, once again, Davies and Emerson lining up in centre-back up against Erling Haaland. Man, that is a mouth-watering prospect, is it not? A super aggressive and depleted Spurs side going up against a GOAT like Haaland of FPL. Absolute madness. It's absolutely insane. So, an opportunity not to be missed. And finally, we've got Ollie Watkins, a really reliable player, if nothing else. He continues to score FPL points every week. He's just the main target man in that Aston Villa team, particularly in late game. He always gets those opportunities to score. And if he was a better finisher, I think he could have got a little bit more against Spurs there as well. And maybe Haaland can do what Watkins was unable to do. But Bournemouth is a good fixture. I know some people have been saying, well, Bournemouth have looked a little bit better recently. But you have to remember, you know, they're beating teams like Sheffield United and Burnley and you know, super depleted Newcastle side. Have Bournemouth turned a corner? Yes, they are looking better, but are Bournemouth suddenly this unbeatable team? I don't think so. And Aston Villa have just been so good recently. Remember, they are in the Champions League spot right now. They are a top Premier League team, and I do expect them to get a result at Bournemouth. I really do. And Watkins is, of course, going to play a huge part in that game. So, yeah, again, not really a player I want to lose, ideally, but at the same time, from game week 15, the fixtures are bad. But, guys, my bench is looking like this. We've got Turner, not really getting game time. Taylor against Sheffield United, who I feel like I need to at least consider playing him. Maybe, would you play him ahead of Cash? I guess maybe that's a possibility, but Burnley aren't exactly great defensively, but they are playing against Sheffield United, so, you know, it's kind of like that, isn't it? We've got Mbeumo. Does he get any minutes? Possibly, maybe not, against Crystal Palace at home. And we've got Ait-Nouri, who is, I'm not sure if he's going to be available or not for this game week. I'm really hoping he's back for next game week, because I actually am going to need him for next game week. But I'm not going to play him against Arsenal. Just really hope that he's not out for the long term, because I only just bought him in, and I thought he could be a pretty nice differential to have in my team. But there you go, guys. That is my team. And with that, we need to decide which players are sacrificable. Which players could I... And I've pretty much settled on these players. So it's Areola in goal. Obviously, not really been super impressed by the West Ham defence at all. It doesn't seem to be showing any signs of improvement either. Is Areola a player I could lose? Definitely. I would definitely consider moving him on. If I had a spare transfer, if I didn't have any other priority moves, I would definitely consider making a goalkeeper transfer at this point, because surely there are points available elsewhere. In defence, we've got Matty Cash. Of course, he's going to be a player who we have to consider removing at the very least because of his blanks, because, you know, some people saying he's not 100% nailed on. I don't know. I guess we'll see about that one. One thing that should be said about Cash is that we often see him in away games playing slightly further up the pitch as more of a right midfielder, right winger. We saw that last game week against Spurs in this away game against Bournemouth. If we were to see that again, would I regret selling Cash? I don't know. Again, we go back to, if you're not replacing Cash with an Arsenal defender, you're probably just replacing him with someone who is just as good, particularly for this game week against Bournemouth. After that, it's much easier to sell Cash. I'm sure you guys will know. Bowen is obviously on the chopping block, but only injury dependent. If he's unavailable, if he's going to be out for this game week, at that point, I have to probably just sell him, to be fair. But I am at the moment optimistic that he will be available. Diaby is another player on the chopping block. I'm not 100% sure if he is going to be 100% nailed on over a busy fixture period with the improvement of Bailey. And to be honest, Diaby has not been super impressive anyway. Look, he's looked fine. He's been ticking along okay. But can we do better? I'm sure we can. And Ollie Watkins, ideally not a player I'd like to sell because I do think he is quite reliable. I want to own him for this Bournemouth game, but at the same time, you know, I look through my premium players. I look at, you know, Haaland, Salah, Trippier, Son, and Watkins. If I have to sacrifice one of these 5 players, it's probably going to have to be Watkins, and that would be my way of freeing up budget. And there are some other forwards I quite like right now, so I can see myself potentially moving out Watkins, but is this the right time to do it? Is this the right time to sell Aston Villa players in general? It seems to be one of those moves that a lot of us will be making that we actually might go on to regret making because it's a good fixture, right? And it's a good team, so I guess we'll see. Now, there are some players that are on my transfer target list. Goalkeeper Raya at Arsenal at 4.9 million is definitely a player I'm super interested in. It's just going to be a case of when I can afford to do a goalkeeper transfer. I mean, Areola's fixtures aren't too bad over the next 4 or 5 game weeks. So maybe I can wait a little bit longer for that. Wait until Arsenal kind of get past their bad fixtures, because Arsenal have good fixtures in the next 2 and then maybe 3 bad fixtures, and then they start getting good again after that. So maybe that's the point I buy Raya, but he's firmly on my targets list. For defenders, it is of course Saliba. I mean, how could he not be on my transfer targets list? He's just got to be there. Tsimikas, I think, is a little bit interesting. Klopp has made some positive comments about Tsimikas' playtime, which I think is quite nice. But without Alisson, I do wonder if Liverpool are going to be able to keep clean sheets as consistently as they have been doing more recently. And of course, Jamal Lascelles, if Botman is still injured, I mean, how long is Botman going to be injured for? I don't know. But if it's going to be a while, then Lascelles at 4.1 million looks like a great option. He's actually been getting a few decent amount of chances to score as well from those set pieces. Obviously, we've seen him, you know, score a goal last week. So could that happen again? I don't see why not. 4.1 million is a bargain. Do I go for him? It's definitely an option, but I don't know if I'm fully confident in that one in the same way as I might be confident in a Saliba. For midfielders, Saka is an option, but I don't really see how I get him into my team, to be honest. He's a decent pick. Obviously, Saka is a fantastic FPL pick. But is he the #1 priority? Not really. So Mbeumo is my star target for midfielders. 7 million now. I think you guys will probably know by now that everyone is targeting Mbeumo. If you haven't got Mbeumo yet, he is the guy you want to be going for, right? So it's likely to be him that I go for. And for forwards, I do have some targets, Darwin and Isak. Am I going to sell Watkins ahead of this Bournemouth game though? Probably not, but I definitely recognise that Darwin and Isak should be on my shortlist for players to buy. So, with that all said, let's suggest some transfer moves. And for me, it's going to be a pretty simple case of whether Bowen is fit or not. That will define who I sell for Mbeumo. So, if Bowen is fit, Diaby will be sold. And Mbeumo will come in. Simple transfer. I will use some of the money in my bank to make this move, and I will be very, very pleased with what my team looks like. But if Bowen is somehow out this game week 14, and I don't think he will be, but I need to, you know, stay vigilant, stay alert, see what the news is. If anything changes in terms of the information we receive, then obviously there is a chance that it's actually Bowen that ends up making way for Mbeumo. But to be honest, I don't think that's very likely. I think it's pretty likely that I'm just going to do the Diaby to Mbeumo move. It seems super obvious for my personal situation. So for the sake of the video, let's lock that transfer in, because I really do think Bowen is going to play against Crystal Palace. So I'm not too worried about that one, to be perfectly honest. Now, things may change at the last minute, but as things currently stand on current information, this is what my team will look like. And I think it's pretty strong for this game week in particular. I think this team looks really, really good. Everyone's got an easy fixture other than Son and maybe Trippier. Everyone else I'm super confident in, but even, you know, Trippier you trust against anyone. Son you trust against anyone. These are big players. So, yeah, I just think this is pretty much where I want my team to be. The only player I really see that's missing is maybe, you know, Saka would be nice, or maybe having double Arsenal defense would be nice instead of Cash. Maybe a different goalkeeper. I don't know, but we're pretty much there. I'm at this point, I'm pretty happy with where my team is building towards. This is kind of the team that I wanted to have long term. Finally, on captaincy, for me, it's Erling Haaland. I look at this fixture and the kind of the situation that each team is in. Haaland, you know, he'll be ready to play 90 minutes. Tottenham are going to be a team that is really, really playing stupidly attacking against a team that is seriously good, and they are going to get punished in that game, as well as all of their missing players at Spurs right now. It could be a bloodbath, and Haaland is going to be the guy to capitalise on it. In any other game week, I would be captaining Salah if the opportunity for Haaland wasn't so good, because Fulham is also a great fixture for Salah. So the vice captain goes on Salah, but to be honest, I just feel like the ceiling for Haaland against Spurs is higher. It could be a case that Man City score 4 goals in this game. For the Liverpool versus Fulham game, it's going to be much more dependent on game state and kind of seeing how that game progresses. If Fulham make it to half-time at 0-0 or something like that, or even manage to score a goal before Liverpool do, that seriously damages Salah's opportunities to get FPL points. Where with Haaland, you back him for the whole 90 minutes, no matter what the game state is. So Haaland is my guy. You know, that is the decision that I've made. But it's not to say Salah is a bad captain shout. So that's what my team is likely to look like for game week 14. I think it looks pretty good, to be fair, but I've said that before. But maybe last game week I said, you know, there's a chance this will be a low scoring one, but this week, no, I'm feeling better about this week. Much more positive this week than I was going into game week 13. So that's going to be a good sign, right? Yeah, let's quickly have a look at my team on Fantasy Football Hub's My Team tool. Okay, so the recommendations here are pretty much to, bench Bowen, obviously, because he is still flagged. The points predictions for him is not particularly high. What is really interesting is that Charlie Taylor is predicted 3.8 points versus Sheffield United versus Cash, who is 3.5. So actually, maybe there is a decision there. And those of you guys who are maybe you're just fed up of Cash, you really just want to get rid of him, maybe you can actually afford to wait one more game week before committing to that and just play Taylor this game week, gather more information for another week, because unless you're buying an Arsenal defender, I really don't see the point in selling Cash, particularly if you've got a Taylor there on your bench. He's definitely an option to start as well if you are, you know, having some trouble with the defenders that you currently have in your FPL team. Of course, I've got a recommended transfer here to sell Bowen to Mbeumo. Yeah, that makes sense for the next 4 game weeks, certainly, particularly if we think Bowen is going to be injured. But I imagine once that flag is taken off Bowen, maybe we'll get a slightly different suggestion than to sell him, and maybe Diaby is the guy to sell. So do let me know what you think about my team for this week. Do you think I'm along the right lines here? Diaby to Mbeumo, is that the right move? And is the rest of my team okay? Can I survive one more week with Cash? Or would you maybe be opting to play Taylor? Certainly in terms of transfers, I'm not really interested in anyone in defense other than Arsenal. So that's probably not an option for me, particularly if I want Mbeumo. I can't afford to get Saliba. And maybe that's another move I need to think about in the future. But make sure you do check out Fantasy Football Hub. There's a link in the description where you can try out this tool for free as well. Yeah, and a massive thank you to them for you know, helping me look at my team and analyze my team a little bit as well. And there we have it, guys. That is my Game Week 14 team selection video done. Do make sure you check out fanprints.uk and get yourself some delightful prints, mugs, and much more on that website. Really does help support the channel. The link is in the description and in the pinned comments for that one. But aside from that, guys, I will see you tomorrow for our final team news video, final questions video. Looking forward to dropping that one after all the press conferences have finished. Check out another video if you want to as well. That would be appreciated. But aside from that, thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.